Hello, you're watching France 24. I'm Nadia Massi. The headlines today. Antony Blinken warned time is running out to secure a ceasefire and a hostage deal in Gaza. The top American diplomat now on his 9th trip to the region. Ukraine calls on civilians in a frontline Donetsk city to evacuate as the Russian army advances. Meanwhile, Ukrainian troops damage a bridge as they push further into Russian territory. And Democrats are gathering in Chicago for the party's convention to celebrate the Harris-Walz ticket. First, though, outgoing President Joe Biden is to speak this Monday evening. Welcome to the programme. The top American diplomat Antony Blinken has urged Israel and Hamas not to derail truce negotiations, saying this may be the last opportunity to secure a Gaza ceasefire and a hostage deal. Today, Blinken met with Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem, as well as the Israeli President Isaac Herzog, who you can see in the images there. The Israeli Prime Minister's office characterising their meeting as positive. Emerald Maxwell has more.
On his 9th urgent mission to the Middle East since October 7th, the US Secretary of State stopped off first in Israel, where he pressed Israeli leaders to agree to a ceasefire when talks resume in Egypt later this week.
Welcome again to Israel.
Antony Blinken will travel on to Cairo on Tuesday.
This is a decisive moment, probably the best, maybe the last opportunity to get the hostages home, to get a ceasefire.
His cautious optimism, though, is not widely shared in Israel, where hopes of getting the hostages back continue to be dashed.
I expect nothing from this meeting because our Prime Minister is blocking the hostage deal, because if he will make the hostage deal, there will be no government and he will be out of office.
Netanyahu continues to lie to everyone. And this time too, he will twist things so that there will be no deal.
In Gaza's city of Khan Yunis, Palestinians cast doubt on the influence wielded by the Americans over a deal.
Blinken's visit to Israel will not change anything. We hear this every time, but it's not true. It's the complete opposite.
Today in the Gaza Strip, we're suffering badly because of the Americans. This visit is, as usual, just to check on Israel and provide it with weapons and logistic matters.
The latest ceasefire proposal would freeze fighting for an initial 6 weeks, as hostages in Gaza are exchanged for Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails and humanitarian aid enters the Strip. But Hamas has expressed deep dissatisfaction with the proposal, and Israel maintains that there are areas it is unwilling to compromise.
Well, with no breakthrough in the truce talks, there's been, meanwhile, little let-up in the Israeli strikes on Gaza. Charlotte Hughes brings us this report with the latest images we've received from the enclave.
These Palestinians are inconsolable as they mourn their loved ones killed in an Israeli strike on Sunday. According to Palestinian health authorities, 6 children and their mother were among the dead.
My daughter, her husband and their 6 children were safe on Al-Mazrah Street in the Deir el-Balah area, where a missile struck them, completely destroying the apartment. An entire civilian family, a mother and 6 children, the oldest of whom was 15 years old and the youngest a year and a half. What was their crime? What did these people do?
Several kilometers away in Nusayrat, injured children were rushed away from the scene of another deadly Israeli strike that left this building in ruins. Further south in the enclave, smoke billowed above the city of Khan Yunis, where the Israeli military said it had killed more than a dozen Hamas fighters and destroyed rocket launchers.
WESN.
Hello, hello, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to Breakthrough. My name is Mark Anthony Peter, and joined with me is my co-host, as always, Mr. Sean Michael Small. Good morning, Sean. How are you?
I'm trying to get over the little bit of attempted torture in our ears that we happen just now.
Yes, all the time, every single Monday. Every single Monday. Also, by the way, next time I'm going to watch Talking Point on a Monday so that I don't come in the same colored shirt as you.
Oh, yes. We're matching.
We're matching.
This was not planned.
It was, again.
You should have worn the black jacket.
People, you know what, not people, I am tired of wearing it.
Okay. But it's so much, it's so much easier though. I'm not going to lie.
I was tired. I'm like, I'm not doing jacket today. I'm just going to do shit.
Right, you just picked the wrong one.
I just picked the wrong one. I call this my accounting shit. But anyway.
What does that have to do with accounting?
I feel like, so my dad is an accountant, so I feel like accountants always wear like long sleeve blue shirts.
Wow, just long sleeve blue shirts are accounting.
Yeah, like blue, white.
White. Long sleeve white shirts are accounting shirts.
Well, it's what I do know, but
no one else wears white, long sleeve white shirts or blue shirts. By the way, just so you know, just to disprove his theory in a very relevant and immediate manner, I am not an accountant. I am far from an accountant. Just if we needed some real proof, an anecdotal example.
Listen.
Not an accountant.
Why? Listen, I just grew up seeing accountants being in an office all the time with my parents.
The level of assumption we have there.
Yeah.
Wow. So what happened? So you figure all CSE fellas end up accountants or what? Because they just wear blue, not so?
And on that note, I am not going to go there with you today. I am not going to go there with you today. But I'm so glad to be here. I'm happy that you're joining us, Trinidad and Tobago. We have a very interesting topic that we want to discuss. But before we get into that, just some updates, some recent developments. So obviously, we finally got the steel pan has finally got its geographic international intellectual
geographical indicator.
There we go.
Yes, I know. I
stumbling.
I myself didn't fully understand this point because while the examples given, you may or may not know, only champagne can come from the region of France that is thus named Champagne. Everywhere else it's sparkling wine.
Oh,
it can't technically legally be champagne.
Okay.
But I myself don't necessarily see how a similar thing can happen for TNT because it's not as though we have like a Trinbagonian pan. You know, like the name of the instrument is not Trinbag. You know what I mean?
I understand. But
so is steel pan somehow, because it's not as though we have a region of the country named steel pan, and the reason why we have it is because
right. But I think in other parts of the country they don't call it steel pan, they call it steel drums.
Other parts of the world or the country?
Sorry, other parts of the world they call it steel drums. So if anyone has like those sort of MIDI keyboards or those electric keyboards that has the different voices, different instruments, you can find a steel pan sound. It's just called steel drums. So I think that it's just going to go that direction from here on out. There's that, and then I know you spoke about it very, very briefly. I'm not going to go too much in depth, but I know the Prime Minister said that he's going to get rid of the 3 ships and put the steel pan on the coat of arms. Many people are happy. I'm waiting to see where it goes. And I'm going to leave it there.
I'm indifferent to it, to be honest, because we're so far removed to the initial point. And again, I would like to ask how many people actually thought this was a pressing issue until the Prime Minister said it, and all of a sudden, yes, that's all behind that. Now, on a practical level, I am concerned he is using that as cover to say, look, we need to get rid of our colonial masters and then lump the Privy Council in. That's a whole other topic outside of this.
All right.
But for the purposes of breakthrough, here's a different concern that I might have.
What's that?
It better look good.
Yeah, please.
Right? Because if I look too jokey, heaven help you, right? Living that down. It better look, and when I say good, it doesn't just have to be passable. And knowing governments, right, they will do something that will look very politically correct and passable,
right.
And it very well might look, whether we like it or not, far less official
right.
than what we had before.
Yeah.
Whether you like the 3 ships or not, it looked like a coat of arms that was from us.
Now, what happened?
That looked official.
Yeah, but what happened at the beginning? I don't know if you saw this on your social media, but at the beginning of Steel Pan Month, people were posting their demos of what the coat of arms could look like with a steel pan. So there's literally an image on. So I think he saw that.
Oh, and he's riding the trend.
Yes.
Oh, I did. To be fair, I did not know that.
That came as soon as I think we got the intellectual thing, the geographical indicator. People that has been posted, and that's circulating among the artists and musicians out there.
I'm seeing one. The steel pan is taking up the whole shield.
Yeah, that is very much. It's like a gold steel pan sort of outline of the notes and stuff in the middle of it.
You know, this actually does not look bad, because I'll say this: it looks like the crest of a shield. And if you wanted a shield to, what would be our crest to identify us? Then I could go with this. I could live with it.
So Prime Minister, get in contact with whoever did that and, make that official. And it's shared. Since yesterday, it's recirculating. It's recirculating all of the time. And, social media has some influence. Speaking of some influence as well, but staying within the vein of Trinidad and Tobago, we just want to give out our congratulations to Mr. Etienne Charles. His newest album, Jazz Creole, it was number 6 on Jazz Week. It was number 1 on Jazz Week for 6 weeks straight. That's what I meant to say.
Yes.
Right? And so, I mean, come on. And for those of us who don't know people who are making it out there, who are doing their thing abroad, we've had our guests, we had Andrew Samlal, just the other day, and they're making their mark. And Etienne Charles, fantastic performer.
Let's make it clear, this is not someone who, he's just gone abroad to do foreign things. He's come back, he's done brass and carnival, right? He's still celebrated his local culture, his roots. I went to school with him. I remember him. He was just a year ahead of me, but it was kind of funny to see him as a lower form student trying to tell the upper form student how to play. They're playing the same instrument, trumpet, and it's like, yeah, you this chord, that chord, that chord. Like, he was the more advanced musician. His talent was on another level when compared to a lot of his peers within the school, and I would argue around the country in any instrument, take your pick. And again, it goes back to, here we have an example of someone to look up to. This could have been a hero to inspire. Not the hero, look, I'm saving lives, outing fires with my trumpet, but hero in the sense of, I'm saving lives because I'm showing you a way how to go beyond what would be the typical norm of TNT society. You finish school, maybe, now it's get a university degree, not so much before. Get a job in the bank, get a job in the government, and then have 2.5 kids and retire at some point.
2.5?
Yeah, the dog. Everybody. Okay. I mean, no, I think it's a joke, but statistically speaking, like when you actually average out the families,
it's
you actually for replacement you include fractions, because they average out once you multiply by the total population. Something like that, right?
Interesting statistics, lovely. What a wonderful subject. So glad I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, this is not what we do here at Briefly.
No, it's not.
Obviously, one of us is not an accountant.
And moving swiftly forward. But no, it's good to see. And I mean, on that note, you said he's doing his thing and bringing his culture. The album is called Creole Orchestra.
There you go.
Right? And his albums, they're so great. Next time he's down here, go and he has a performance, buy all of his albums. Please, you won't.
Well, go see the performance, because there's something about a live performance where seeing someone at that level of craft, and I do wonder if we don't have too much of that here in TNT to see it at that level. We have good people, don't get me wrong, but Etienne Charles might actually be legit one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Great. Now, coming back to the point of, social media influence, right? So when social media became a thing, and I'm really going to specify to maybe Facebook and Instagram. When they became a thing, it seemed at the start, it was just like a digital space to communicate, to have fun. People who remember, we used to play Farmville. I don't know if Farmville is still a thing on
Well,
Facebook.
they have similar things. They have similar things,
yeah. And, you're messaging your cousin who lives abroad, so you're not really writing letters and sending an email. You can just talk to those.
And it replaced email.
It replaced email to a send, because you have that instant messaging. Those of us who remember MSN Messenger, That was a good thing. But now it's turned in, and now people are using it for their business.
Yes.
And to some extent, depending on the business, you're seeing the rewards of it, you're seeing some level of return in it. But I wonder sometimes, and I'm going to throw a clip just now, but I wonder sometimes if we overestimated the power of social media. And there's a clip that I saw on Instagram where a musician and a teacher, she plays in an orchestra and stuff like that, and she really gave some good business advice. Just want to throw that clip to you really quickly.
Even if you're going to go on social media like this and make videos and content, it still has to be about the relationship. If you lead with authentic relationships and this desire to really get to know people and become a part of your community, that is where the real growth happens. And that little mindset shift, that change in how I was approaching communication and outreach, it helped me get 43 students in 2.5 months after I relocated across the US. So it's a tiny change, but it makes all the difference, or at least it has for me. Growing your music career that no one told me in music school, and it took me quite a bit of time and energy to figure out and experiment on my own, is that most musicians are not finding opportunities through traditional marketing, like cold emails and posting flyers and spamming social media. When you ask them, they are finding most opportunities through word of mouth, which means that on some personal or professional level, they had a pre-existing relationship with someone that referred them or recommended them for that opportunity. And when we get out of school and we try to start finding gigs and finding lesson students and trying to create our own thing and start moving forward into more of a full-time music career, we start with more of the traditional marketing. And even if you're going to go on social media like this and make videos and content, it still has to be about the relationship. If you lead with authentic relationships and this desire to really get to know people and become a part of your community, that is where the real growth happens. And that little mindset shift, that change in how I was approaching communication and outreach, it helped me get 43 students in 2.5 months after I relocated across the US. So it's a tiny change, but it makes all the difference, or at least it has for me.
So right there, she's basically speaking about how the relationships are more important. I'm just going to give a quick backstory, a quick personal story. When the pandemic hit, I was kind of one of the first few to really advertise online music classes, right? And it was on a big platform, big media platform. And there were thousands of likes, a bunch of comments, a bunch of messages as well, right? And when I explained, in explaining my the terms and conditions and the costs and how long the classes are and whatnot, which I think I did a pretty, decent job at, I really did not get any actual students from that. A lot of these students that I have are from referrals. A lot of these students I have are parents talking to parents. This parent trusts this teacher, I would recommend them to you. This person has had a good experience with me as a student, I'm going to recommend this person to you. So essentially, she's kind of saying the same thing, and I'm wondering what your thoughts on that is.
Well, I think it goes beyond that. However, just to add to what you said, we underestimate what word of mouth does, because word of mouth takes, when you see a new movie come out in the cinema, sometimes it's estimated the production budget is equal to the marketing budget. And what the marketing for a movie does is the first week might look okay, but then especially when you see that big drop off in some of those films, it's because the word of mouth did not sustain it, right? Not just the reviews, because the reviews could be hit or miss. The audience could say one thing, the critics could say something else, and vice versa. But the word of mouth does not sustain it. People who have seen it will not recommend it and then drop off, right? And people kind of underestimate, look, at the end of the day, you can market on mass media all you want, but you can't you can't say something in your marketing and be something else. You have to be consistent, right? At the very least, right? Because to some extent, even if people how to put it, initially get knowledge of you by mass media, the experience of some are going to propagate to say, was this good, was this bad, what have you, right? Particularly, depending on the product. If it's something like, I need to trust my children with you, I'm going to be a lot more discerning. So when it comes to music lessons for kids, not just for the musical education, but also the responsibility of overseeing the children.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
supervision.
Let's go the next way, because I don't think she was limited to just teaching or things similar to teaching.
For sure. Yes.
She was thinking about work job opportunities in the music space. But I would argue that this is something that has come up. And it's not something, if you're a business student, this would have come up even when I was going into secondary school. You would have heard things about networking, right? About meeting people, about expanding your network. Now, it's not as though there were classes to say how to do this. But there was something about understanding that you need to put yourself out there, get your name out there, get known. And I think one of the problems is we look at social media and we think, oh, it's this revolutionary piece of technology. And people who were not known before can be known now. There are platforms now for people, podcasts and content creators and so on and so on. Well, the problem with that is, yes, that can happen. But to say that you're going to replace traditional networking with social media, I think is a misconception. Because what happens is, at the end of the day, we think there is a greater connection, but in reality, most of the people who you are friends on with Facebook, you don't speak to on a day-to-day. You're not going to trust with your money, trust with your kids, trust with your investment, etc., right? Trust with your project. And we had this discussion before.
We have,
Musical, artistic projects, whether film, music, theater, what have you, it's very much based on, can I trust this person to deliver? Because it's very subjective, can they do the job or not? And to some extent, yes, there might be 6 people who could do the job, but once I find one of them, it's not like I'm going to be, well, I need to make sure that they're not other people and then put you all into the gauntlet to see, no, once I am, I just need to find the best one. And then on top of that, art, projects at that size, it's a collaboration.
Yes.
You also, and it's the same thing in the business world, but to some extent, one could argue maybe more so in art and sport, personality, fitting together, right? That's a big thing as well. And referrals. It's similar to when you are going to trust this person with my children for 2 hours. Right? It's not just about his musical ability now, it's his personality. And it's easier for me, because I don't know anything about you, rhetorically speaking, if I was a parent in that position. But the other parent had the experience, and that gives me a little bit more comfort. I don't need to sit in on 5 lessons to make sure I know what's going on, and then have a nanny cam that I don't tell you about, and do all kind of spy basis. But no, I just get a referral. Right?
Well, I mean...
And fake Facebook friends does not equal to that.
Exactly. And I mean, well, some parents do want to supervise, but that's a whole different topic. But I want to touch on 2 things. One, we're leaving it alone. The point that you made about the movie, it's interesting because I always wondered, there's so much, for some movies, there's so much hype surrounding it, right? And there's this fuel behind it and everybody. So I feel like sometimes we like the anticipation of the product more than the actual product. So then you go in, the movie drops on everybody, and then after a week it drops off the face of the earth. And no one talks about it anymore. I'm like, and then you compare it to a movie that probably did not have as much hype, but then after a while, it just starts organically growing and growing and growing. So that's an interesting point. The second thing about trusting people, and I think for me, personality is a big thing. People who I work with, their personality is a big thing. If I almost want to say more than if you can do the job, but they're kind of on equal footing, because as artists, at least for me, when you step into my project, you're stepping into a sacred space. You're stepping into a very valued space. You're stepping into a space where it's very, very, you can't help but make it personal. You can't help but make it such a space where it's very valued. So if you are coming into this space and you don't and there's without gelling well, you have the skills, but there's a clashing of personalities, because then I can't, you're making it hard for me to work with you, right? There's something to be said about that. It's not just the skills anymore. I think I would have made this point on Talking Point on Friday, actually. We thought education was it. And what I mean by it, we thought education was going to solve was the only thing, was going to solve all of the problems. But then we realized, no, we actually have very skilled people who actually aren't great team workers.
Yeah, team players. And then it's the same thing, art is the same thing in business world or any sort of professional community. If you want to be called up to have the best projects, to go and do the best assignments, right? Maybe there's a new endeavor. Maybe there's an expansion of a business, right?
Yeah.
Like, we need a consultant. We need an expert in this field, right? It's going to, in part, be about your networking. It doesn't matter if you have better technical knowledge than the other guy. Right. If no one knows you, and you are just this hermit curmudgeon that doesn't want to be known, then people won't ask you, because part of it is, it doesn't matter that you are 0.5% better or 5% or even 50% better. If I could work with this person and he could get my project till the end, your improvement that you offer to me is theoretical, right? And if you yourself are not helping make yourself available, make yourself a team player, so not just that you're known, but also that your references are good, etc., etc. Like, then the benefit that you can provide over the other guy is technically theoretical. And depending, if he is good enough, then it doesn't matter how much better you are. Why am I going to go through all these extra hoops when you might not work out? And that's the thing. I think it's interesting. Business will use the term project. The art will use the term project. At the end of the day, it is sacred, because when projects fail, they take down a lot of people with them. They set a lot of careers back in any industry. And that's why you don't necessarily want to roll the dice on people who are not necessarily going to be team players and are going to undermine the program. And very often, one of the reasons why a lot of businesses fail is not because of any inherent systemic flaw, but rather in one moment of time, somebody upset the apple cart some way, somehow, and it's done.
Well, let me ask you a question then, because you use the word known. Can you be word of mouth known without being media known?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because there will be times when the best kept secret within the industry. What does the industry think? Who does the industry point to that the media and the public doesn't point to? You know, so like in music, I'm sure at least in the past, there would have been a point in time when the Grammys, a lot of the musicians would have loved for a lot of these lesser known people to get Grammys, right? Now, it might be way too political, but you know, same thing with film. Like when they say this director is an actor's director, or this actor is an actor's actor, because they appreciate the things behind the scenes that makes the job easier, right? Whereas to most people, it's who's the star in front of the scenes.
It's very interesting. And to that point, for a project, let's take, for instance, a concert. A concert has so many moving parts. Excuse me, and depending on the type of concert, let's say it's a choir, let's say they're musicians, that means you're going to have a tech crew, sound people, lighting people, the people who run tech, who move sets on and off the stage, the people who do the uniforms or the costume, you know, the
makeup artists.
The makeup artists, all of those things.
Then the cast. If you have a choir and musicians,
and then you have the cast.
That's a big cast by default.
And then if somebody, or maybe one or two people, is making the process a little bit more difficult than it needs to be, but then in that moment, you're kind of being selfish, because then you're taking everybody down with you in a sense.
What a lot of people don't understand, because we've been a part of relatively big productions in this number of people involved. All it takes at certain key points is for one person to not be, you know, on board with, we need to get this thing done now, and they're holding up the show for whatever reason, and you have cast and crew of 100 to 200 people just wasting a couple hours. And in a project like that, you cannot have 200 people wasting a couple hours.
Correct. I want to talk about that for a little bit. So when you are in tech rehearsal or dress rehearsal mode, and you are in the space for that week or the few days before the weekend of the show, The goal is to get the job done. Nothing more, nothing less. The goal is to absolutely get the job done. And if leadership is guiding the production a certain way, you kind of have to respect it. If you'd like to raise opinions and stuff like that, you can do that after the rehearsal is done, right? But if there's an emergency of sorts and something needs to be dealt with now, obviously people know how to deal with these things, hopefully, and you're able to do them in a particular way where it is you know, you deal with what needs to be dealt with. But when you come and there's a lot of confusion and stuff like that, and you try to bring a lot of confusion with you, it just sets everything back. So at the end of the day, just try to focus on the job. Try to focus on the job at all times. Now, we have people in Trinidad and Tobago who are well known. They may not necessarily have a social media presence, but they're well known.
Yes.
And it's because of the good work that they've done.
Yes.
It's because of the good projects that they do and things like that.
Because even if the public doesn't know them, say you wanted someone like Etienne Charles to be your musical director for a project, and he said, well, I'm in New Orleans, I can't do it, right?
Exactly.
Obviously, the next thing you do, or you may ask, maybe you won't ask him because you're worried it might be pretentious, but you ask him, well, is there anyone you could recommend that might be able to do the job, maybe not as well as you, but close to?
Yeah.
And he would know people, and of course now it's his reputation, so he's not going to necessarily recommend people willy-nilly. Sometimes somebody makes the mistake of doing that, but that's not the norm.
Yeah.
And that's where you don't want to be the diva, like the whole thing about the diva. Listen, you have to be the best in the world to be a diva, right? And when I say the best in the world, I mean like head and shoulders above. And even then, there might be people who's like, I don't care, I would never work with that person again.
Yeah.
So even then, with that exception, you still have to put your best foot forward to be a team player. If you want, when the time comes, I need a name, whatever the name is for. You want your name called. You want to at least have the opportunity, because otherwise you would have never even heard of this opportunity, because they're going direct, one by one. And you want to give yourself the best chance to get your name thrown in the hat.
Exactly. But here's what I would say in terms of how to navigate social media. Because with what we do as artists, it's not like you have a store and you're selling items, and you can post a picture of the item and you can simply say this is the cost of the item, and people are free to purchase or not, right? It's a little bit more complex than that. So look at social media, at least this is what I've seen, my mind can change as time goes by. But look at it as an expression of what you do. Don't, and manage your expectations with what you put on it, right? Just because you put the one song does not mean that people are automatically going to buy it on iTunes, right? Just because you put that one clip doesn't mean that that one clip of you dancing doesn't mean that Lion King is going to call you and offer you a gig. Some of those situations do happen, very rarely, but they do. But put yourself out there with a sense of with an authentic sense of self, and an authentic sense of what your craft is. And then people will know, people will recognize that genuinity, people will recognize the authenticity. And as long as you manage your expectations, I think then you should be okay. Yeah.
That's the other thing. I understand you don't want to sell yourself short, but similar to the movies, if the substance of the product isn't there by the second week, you know, if you are not giving a true representation of yourself, if you're over representing yourself on social media, eventually people will realize, they'll sniff it out, right? And they will move on.
Yes. So, and on that note, we're going to take a quick break. You're going to see some ads, of course, because this is media, because we just spoke about social media.
Yeah, we also do need to do ads.
Something. Okay. Trinidad and Tobago, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
This is 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for, it's called loss and damage, and we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region. Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of the
not no.
Let's go to the last part.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus, quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
Now you don't need to register nothing. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept,
but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
We believe in different criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God. So we kind of have a stalemate.
We'll focus on the woman who's being the victim,
right,
or the man who's being the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI, worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
The newest book is here, Closer to the Church, the debut novel by author and former Mayor Louis Lee Singh. Available at all the Home Store branches, Barataria, West Mall, Shogunas and C3 San Fernando. Paper-based bookshop 10 Nook Avenue St. Anne's, WESN 30A Gattaca Street Woodbrook, Metropolitan Bookshop Ariapita Avenue Woodbrook, and all RIK bookstores nationwide. Available online as paperback on Amazon.com and Kindle for e-readers. For more info, call 628-5835 or 389-6504. Also available from author Louis Lee Singh, I Used to Live in Heaven, Letters to My Granddaughters, and Local Government in Trinidad, Conspiracy Against the People.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide, Center City Mall, Shogunas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Every word,
Every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
Nah, you don't need to register nothing. You don't need, we can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
We believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN Content Capital.
Hello there and welcome to AM Prime on WESN Content Capital. Before we even start this repatriation and reintegration process that we've already failed, or are we doomed to fail?
You've got to invest in the institutions that you've established to carry out those sorts of core functions.
We now get into the regional updates to give you an understanding of what's happening across our neighboring islands.
We have available a number of films that are worth showing.
So it was day one when the French Revolution started to develop the concept of universal human rights.
What happened this time is unprecedented. It's one of the largest terrorist attacks in history.
Let's welcome Carl to the program. Carl is over there next to himself. Hello, Carl.
Silky anteater or pygmy anteater, and we have two of the three species of anteaters right here.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
And
take some time for yourself or spend some time
to break through. And as per usual, as is our custom at this point,
I just want to acknowledge, I'm sure some of you didn't think we would come back, but we're here. We're here. So please, come on back. Come on back.
Why are people threatening you inside of our ears? Now, with that said, let's introduce the guest.
Yes, please. As is custom, as I was saying before rudely interrupted by the people in my ear.
I mean,
as is custom.
Was that break a custom?
As custom, we always have our artist, performer on the spotlight. Well, the spotlight on the artist and performer. Here we have with us Ms. Stephanie Carrington. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning. Hi, Sean. Hi, Mark.
How are you?
I am good. How are you all?
We've had less interesting shows.
Okay.
By interesting, I mean with all of the.
Oh well, what happened? Yeah. Yeah. So so before we get into
so interesting doesn't mean the content. Just let's.
Yeah.
Right.
I was a little bit confused at that.
I was trying to be polite.
Okay, no problem. So Stephanie, the question that all artists hate. Tell me about yourself. I'll get a little bit more specific. So you're a performer, you're a singer, dancer, actor. How did you get started? I think that's more specific. How did you get started into all of this?
Okay. Well, firstly, thank you for having me. Glad to be here. So I, like many, started singing when I was in primary school. I joined the junior and senior choirs of the Bishop Anstey Junior School. At the time, led by Mr. White and Mrs. Shagbeer. I loved singing from a very young age, and my love for performing developed when my parents actually took my little sister and myself to one of the Love Movement concerts in Adam Smith Square. And my mom looked at us and she said, "Would you like to join that?" And I remember looking up at her and saying, "Okay." And I joined when I was in Standard 5, so I was probably about 9 years old maybe. And I have not left since. My very first major production with the choir was the following year doing Disney's The Little Mermaid, where I played one of Ariel's sisters, Mer sisters, and I was in my Heelys wheeling across Queen's Hall stage.
Heelys. Oh wow!
Listen, for the effect. It was for the effect.
I forgot Heelys existed.
Technically, they still exist. They don't? They don't exist?
I don't
I've not
think
seen
they
them.
sell anymore.
The hype has gone, so maybe
The
not so
hype,
much.
exactly.
Okay, but yes, you were in Little Mermaid, so you were healing yourself across the stage, being a mermaid.
Yes. And from there, there have just been so many other things happening. I eventually graduated from high school, and then from there I went to the University of the West Indies, where I studied and got my certificate in theatre and education, and then further going on to my bachelor's in musical arts, and just now becoming a recent graduate of that.
So as you've officially gotten all the credits to graduate,
Yes.
you just haven't done the ceremony.
Yes, that is correct.
So you just had a cross stage now?
In October.
Yeah, no. You just had to pay some stupid amount of money to cross stage now in a rented gown.
So
I said it.
We didn't. I am a proud UWI graduate. All right. Anyway, and I enjoyed crossing the stage, but so you started off very, very young, right? So now you're how old now, if you don't mind me asking?
I will be 23 in 5 days.
Right. So from the young tender age of 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there, to now, we're just gonna throw to a quick clip of Stephanie singing a song. Take a look.
Gonna ride up in the chariot sooner in the morning. Ride up in the chariot sooner in the morning. Ride up in the chariot sooner in the morning. And I hope I'll join the band. Oh, Lord, have mercy on me. Oh, Lord, have mercy on me. Oh, Lord, have mercy on me. And I hope I'll join the band. Gonna walk and talk with Jesus sooner in the morning. Walk and talk with Jesus sooner in the morning. Walk and talk with Jesus sooner in the morning. And I hope
cameo by somebody in the background there. I wonder who that was. I don't know. I don't know who that was. But great, right up in the chariots. Right? That's such a great song. And I know that kind of became your road march for like the past year. A little bit. You did it for like a jury or something?
Yes, so I learned it in school, in university, for an exam. And then from there, people loved it so much and said, you know, you're a soprano and people love to hear sopranos sing high, as we do.
Yes, the money notes.
And that just kind of became the road march, as you said.
Okay. Interesting. So, as you said, recently graduated, well, about to graduate, fulfilled all of your credits. This question is kind of intimidating, but I'm not going to say what's next, but I'm going to say what are some of the long-term goals? What are some of the career goals going forward now?
Okay.
School, those who don't know, university is in fact a career by itself, and sometimes you need to just focus on school, and then once you've graduated, then you can focus on
Thank you for that. I agree with that. I endorse that 100%.
So what's next? What's next for you?
100%. Yes. So right now, I honestly am just looking to expand my horizons in terms of performance and get into other things that I have not necessarily tapped into as yet. At this point in time, I have gained a lot of experience over my years singing with multiple choirs, and singing with a choir and singing as a soloist vocally is very different, you know? So doing more solo things, just whether that means at some point in time reaching on Broadway or working on a cruise ship as a performer, you know, just trying to do different things, you know, that will make me money. Doing what it is that I love to do.
Right, of course.
So yeah, I've always loved the stage and the practical side of things.
Okay, so definitely the stage is the goal.
Yeah.
Right? Nice. So, go ahead.
But is it just limited to singing? Because your education is more involved than just that.
Yeah, for sure. So I do dance as well. I am trained at dancing. I started dance actually before I started singing. A lot of people don't know that. So I started with Caribbean School of Dancing, ballet, and then got into some modern things. And I actually also took a course in my second to last semester doing modern dance in university as well. So I would like to experience, I have done a lot of singing with dancing, but in terms of just dance alone, I don't have much of a career there. I would now that I have more freedom, more time.
More time. More time.
To explore that side of performance, then yes, of course. So, but I think all around, trying to develop professionally as being just a dancer or just a singer, they both take a lot of time.
Right.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna focus on one more than the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So because I spent so much time majoring in voice for my degree, dance kind of took a back seat, you know. So it was like, now that that is finished, I would like to get back into it, you know. So yeah, it's kind of like a juggling act, because they're really only 7 days in a week, and there's only so much you can do.
And some of these big artists have the same 7 days, and I wonder how. But anyway, so you're doing all of those things. Now you started from very young. What are some of the things that you probably learned along the way, be it professionally, just in general, those sort of things?
Okay, so I think now I've kind of narrowed it down to two things. I've learned a lot over the years, but two main things, especially when it comes to singing, get a vocal trainer who is fit for you specifically.
That's very important.
Yes. So I've had instances where people would recommend someone to me, you know, to go by. And, you know, well known, they have a name, they have a brand. But you reach there and you have your session with them and you don't leave feeling your best. And then there's the flip side where you find a vocal teacher and it's like, this is your person.
Right.
So not everyone is for everyone. And that's what I've kind of had to learn through trial and error. Because like I just said, someone may have a great experience with somebody, and then you can go and probably not have the same experience, and vice versa.
Right.
So just find someone who is for you, well experienced, knows your voice, because the voice is such a personal thing. You know, two people may not sound the same all the time.
But then would you say this could also apply to other artistic endeavors? Because to some extent, you need not just a teacher, it's almost like a coach, particularly with voice. But in other things as well, perhaps, like you need someone to kind of understand you so that they will then know how to help you develop, as opposed to, well, this is the way I've always done it. I've done it for everybody this way. And if it doesn't work for you, it's a you problem. It's like, well, I don't know if that's
So
how it
mentor of
is.
sorts.
Yeah, well, and to some extent, maybe more than a mentor, because I guess for parents with children now, to some extent, they might also have to be cognizant of the fact that, look, this piano, vocal, guitar teacher might not be working out with my child, doesn't necessarily mean it's the instrument or my child. Could be the teacher, and maybe I need a swap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's one question that sort of jumps up.
Hold on, you said there were two things. That
Yeah,
was
there were
one.
two things.
Yes, what's the second thing?
The second thing would be if you is learning to when to move on, you always start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. Everybody starts somewhere, right? But I think a major thing that a lot of us as performers kind of have to navigate at some point is learning when you've outgrown where you have started. Yes. And just learning how to let go and having the confidence within yourself to take that leap of faith and just go into something new or something bigger, you know, because if you stay within the confines of your comfort zone, you're never really going to get anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this it's sort of a follow-up question to that, if you don't mind me asking. So what are some of the, what do you feel? What are some of the signs that tell you maybe it's time to move on? Because I would say even for me, once I start feeling like I am no longer, like I'm not myself, or I feel like I'm doing things just to get by and it's kind of betraying myself and my personality a little bit, then I start to ask the question, is this right? What are some of the things that you, in learning that, what are some of the things that you recognize within yourself, that you experience, that you're like, okay, it's probably time to go? Well, not go, but...
No, yeah, I understand. Whether it sounds bad or not, honestly, when you get bored and tired,
okay.
Yeah, so it's like when you realize that this is just a constant thing and you keep going and it's like, I don't really feel any different. I don't really feel like I'm learning anything new, you know? And I think a beautiful part of just life in general is learning different skills, learning something new every day, you know? So if you've just been stuck in this, you know, hamster wheel of just, you know, the same thing, and at some point in time, that's when I kind of know, okay, maybe I need something new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you agree that it might be the fact that you just feel like there's no more point? You've done it repeatedly, and now there's a lack of almost this professional satisfaction of doing it, continuing to do it over and over. Like there's no point in it. Whether I'm there or not, it's not going to make that much of a difference. You know, even some people might miss me, but like artistically speaking, for the work, like you said, it's a hamster wheel. So they just need a hamster. They don't necessarily need me. Any other hamster will do, right? Like because the process, I guess you stop learning. Like you have nothing left to say, to do. There's no more of a point there for the specific person in the specific position if we were to be critical about it. And then yes, it probably is time to move on. Because I think a lot of times with shows and even in sports, like some people leave early and they're like, how could you do that? Seinfeld is like, well, leave them wanting more. I don't want to stay there until they want to get rid of me. I want to go on top. Like there is a point, artistically especially, when there's nothing new to add. Would you agree with that? Like you've run out of things to I guess, say or do in the environment.
Yeah, and I think on top of that, life keeps going in general, so making space for new people to come in and learn what I've already learned, that's equally as important.
Okay. And there are a lot of people a lot of adults as well who actually don't think like that. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So we do have to wrap up, but I do have one final question. And it's something that once I get the chance or once I remember, I will ask all of the artists and the performers here. How do you define success?
I think success, there are different levels of success. And I think I think it can be defined as any goal you're achieving, any goal that you set out for yourself. So if you decide today you want to walk around the savannah one time, and whether you get it in a specific time or over over a longer period, the fact of the matter is you got it done, and so that in itself is a success. So that, for me, yeah, any goal that you set out for yourself and you achieve that would be how I would define success.
Great. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had fun.
I did.
I mean,
it wasn't so bad, right?
Wasn't so bad.
No,
yeah.
first time for everything.
Of course.
They're always the most nervous before the camera.
That is very true. And I mean, listen, look out for her. You'll see Stephanie on a stage or 2 or 10 in the very, very near future.
Well, hold on. She might just turn traitor like the rest of them and go abroad. You never know.
Well, why you have to say it like that?
Because that's how I said it before, so we need to be, equal.
You on your own.
On that note, though, what Sean said before, when I was listening, I was out of studio.
Right.
Word of mouth is very important. I would say maybe even equally as important as the social media thing. So I've gotten to where I am now because of live performance. And I've not had much of a social media presence just yet, but getting out there and literally just doing what it is that we do, is a very important thing.
Yeah.
So in this space.
Yes, for sure. Just do it, and the puzzle pieces, they'll fall into place. Just do it. Just keep doing it. Don't wait on
the implied word that they're not saying is do it well.
Please. Do it well. Do it well. But you know what? Give people the room to make some mistakes and to develop.
That Australian breakdancer was definitely too much room.
Well, that was okay.
Mushroom.
Okay, Sean. Thank you very much.
That was a scam, by the way. That's a whole bubble with regards to that. But, too much room. Just say. We have a clip.
And I am aware. Okay. Try to make it. Thank you. We're going to throw it to a clip. But thank you for joining us. You're going to hear Stephanie Carrington performing How Could I Ever Know? Take care. Bye-bye.
How could I know I would have to leave you? How could I know I would hurt you so?
WESN.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really
respond
wanna-
to me. Respond to me how you would respond to me.
The first question I'll ask is why?
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say,
services.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So here we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
« 1762 actes antisémites ont été perpétrés depuis le 7 octobre. 571 personnes ont été interpellées. »
Ce que ça me fait d'entendre mort aux Juifs, ça me rappelle mon enfance.
En tant que juif, ça oblige au quotidien à être très vigilant.
Ça s'inscrit dans des logiques où partout on voit monter les extrêmes droites.
On a comme ça ce sentiment de quelque chose qui revient, de cette fragilité.
J'ai vécu la rafle du Veldiv et une deuxième rafle quelques mois après. J'ai perdu mon père, ma mère, à Auschwitz, ainsi que 17 membres de ma famille. Rachel Gédinac, j'ai 89 ans. J'ai vécu des drames pendant la Deuxième Guerre mondiale. L'antisémitisme a toujours perduré en France. Il y a eu des révisionnistes, des négationnistes, on en connaît, mais un climat comme celui-là, je ne pensais pas le revoir. des cris de haine, des jeunes de 11-12 ans qui se permettent d'avoir des cris de haine. Mais que savent-ils? Rien. L'ignorance crasse, devrais-je dire, c'est plus terrible que tout.
Je m'appelle Jonas Jacquelin, j'ai 39 ans et depuis 2014, je suis rabbin de la synagogue de la rue Copernic à Paris. Aujourd'hui, je dirais, il y a toute une ambiance, toute une atmosphère qui fait que dans certains cercles, dans certains cadres, on ne peut pas parler librement. On a vu ces derniers mois des personnes qui font en sorte d'enlever la mezouza, donc le pli boîtier qu'on trouve à l'entrée des maisons juives, et de les mettre à l'intérieur. Des parents qui vont dire à leurs enfants de faire attention à pas forcément porter une kippa ou pas forcément porter un pendentif qui pourrait dire leur appartenance au judaïsme.
Je m'appelle Anna Assouline, j'ai 33 ans, je suis réalisatrice et présidente cofondatrice de l'association Les Guerrières de la Paix. Je suis juive d'origine marocaine et algérienne, juive séfarade, et c'est vrai que cette identité plurielle fonde aussi, je crois, une partie de mes engagements et de mon rapport au monde. Quand j'ai pris conscience qu'il y avait énormément de juifs qui avaient décidé de retirer leur mezouza, j'ai une proche qui m'a envoyé un message un soir en me disant « Je suis en larmes, je me sens tellement lâche, j'ai honte de moi, mais je l'ai enlevé, j'ai trop peur pour mes enfants. » Enfin, c'est vrai que ce climat dans lequel on a été depuis 2 mois a fait renaître beaucoup de peurs qui existent et qui sont là en sommeil un petit peu tout le temps.
Michel Yeviorka, je suis sociologue. Je suis quelqu'un qui a fait beaucoup de recherches sur le terrorisme, sur la violence, sur l'antisémitisme, sur le racisme. Est-ce que ça vient, comme beaucoup le pensent, de personnes issues, comme on dit, de l'immigration maghrébine? C'est très possible. Est-ce que ça vient de l'ultra-droite, comme on dit aujourd'hui? C'est très possible aussi. Est-ce que ça vient d'encore autre chose? Après tout, il y a eu cette affaire d'étoile de David faite au pochoir par des Moldaves. Pour l'instant, on n'en sait pas assez. C'est très profond. On voit que les drames du Proche-Orient se projettent en partie sur notre société française, mais qu'il les surinterprète à sa manière. Mais en même temps, tout ça aiguise les débats politiques.
Je déplore depuis des années la tentative de récupération de l'extrême droite de la lutte contre l'antisémitisme, qui est à la fois récupérée par l'extrême droite pour mieux pouvoir s'attaquer aux musulmans de notre pays. Et elle sert aussi à ceux qui ne veulent pas aujourd'hui s'engager contre l'antisémitisme de manière claire, d'excuses et d'évitement.
Le fait de refuser d'y aller, le fait de refuser d'appeler un chat et l'antisémitisme, c'est la preuve que chez certains, il y a quelque chose d'inconscient qui pousse à refuser de condamner l'antisémitisme.
Bien entendu que j'y étais. Mais il n'y avait pas beaucoup de jeunes. Ça paraît très loin, la Deuxième Guerre mondiale. Après la Shoah, où il y a eu 6 millions de Juifs qui ont été tués, dont 1,5 million d'enfants. Un pays qui n'a pas de mémoire est en difficulté.
La mémoire de la Shoah, quand elle a surgi dans l'espace public, à partir des années 70, elle était sidérante. Mais aujourd'hui, le paradoxe, c'est que on est passé donc de ce moment de la sidération au moment de l'institutionnalisation. Vous avez des musées qui se sont ouverts, des écoles qui traitent de ça dans leur programme scolaire, vous avez des visites à Auschwitz, enfin, vous avez tout un ensemble d'activités qui sont très importantes, très positives, mais qui ne peuvent plus s'installer au niveau de la sidération. Ça rentre, la mémoire devient histoire en quelque sorte.
Nous n'oublierons jamais les victimes israéliennes des attaques terroristes du 7 octobre. Nous prions pour la libération des otages et nous pleurons pour tous les civils de Gaza qui meurent actuellement sous les bombes. La question de la concurrence victimaire, de la concurrence des souffrances, pour ma génération en tout cas, c'est quelque chose qui a fait énormément de dégâts. C'est plus possible d'avoir d'un côté des associations juives qui luttent contre l'antisémitisme, des associations musulmanes qui luttent contre l'islamophobie, sans convergence des luttes, sans un horizon commun de fraternité, on continuera, je crois, de s'enliser dans cette impasse.
Il est 9h, bonjour à tous et bienvenue sur Radio J. Désormais, certaines personnes changent leur nom carrément avant de commander un taxi Uber. Comment trouver un équilibre? Comment vivre de façon sereine face à une telle situation?
On est dans une situation qui est compliquée et il y a le risque de voir la peur nous faire perdre contrôle, nous faire perdre parfois la raison. Quand on regarde l'histoire du peuple juif dans sa globalité, on a vu des situations qui étaient bien évidemment pires. Et donc il y a l'idée qu'en hébreu on dit « gamze ya'avor », c'est aussi quelque chose qui va passer et de se dire évidemment la situation est compliquée, mais évidemment ce qui nous intéresse c'est de se tourner vers l'avenir. Le plus important c'est de ne pas se laisser gouverner par sa peur et de pouvoir continuer à avancer.
La paix n'est ni impossible, ni une posture déconnectée. Ils sont le dernier rempart qui nous reste contre l'embrasement du conflit armé dans l'ensemble du Moyen-Orient. Ils sont la seule voie possible, la seule voie juste, la seule issue pour ces deux peuples.
Parler de paix, de dialogue, etc., parler de la force des femmes, de la sororité, il y a beaucoup de gens qui nous disent « mais est-ce que vous ne seriez pas finalement un peu naïve ou dans l'utopie, etc. » Or, précisément, et ça c'est quelque chose qu'on a vu sur le terrain, c'est le plus grand des pragmatismes aujourd'hui et peut-être même le plus grand des courages.
Je crois que l'antisémitisme a régressé en des temps où il existait toutes sortes de lieux où juifs et non-juifs pouvaient se comprendre, s'entendre, vivre ensemble, échanger, débattre, en particulier des lieux de culture.
Il y a énormément d'endroits aujourd'hui où des jeunes n'ont jamais rencontré un juif de leur vie.
Moi, quand on me dit, dans cette ville, l'équipe de foot qui est plutôt celle des Arméniens, et puis l'autre qui est plutôt celle des gens d'Algérie, etc., et puis plutôt celle des Juifs, je suis terrorisé. Bon, si le foot est un lieu où tout ça se mélange, ça se passe mieux.
Le vivre ensemble, je lutterai pour cela jusqu'au bout de mes forces. Mon rôle, c'est d'aller parler aux jeunes, de semer des petites graines fécondes. Nous sommes les derniers survivants. Aux jeunes de prendre la relève.
Si chacun n'est pas capable de regarder ce qui ne va pas chez lui, jamais on n'aura la possibilité d'avancer vers un idéal de paix.
J'ai pas retiré ma mezouza, je la retirerai pas. Et voilà, je pense que si un jour je la retirais, ce serait comme un renoncement tellement insupportable que ça... Soit je partirais, et j'ai pas l'intention de partir, soit j'en sais rien, j'enlèverai jamais ma mezouza.
Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith.
All the latest in politics, economics and the arts in Africa on France 24. Our journalists are in every region, every country, to report on the emergence of a continent of unparalleled riches. Bringing you Africa's stories on France 24.
Thanks for joining us. Peace again. Take care.
Liberté, égalité, actualité.
The history of our world is ever-changing. The flow of information is constantly increasing. We cover
WESN.
Well, it's time on the programme now for our science segment. And today we're looking at mushrooms and something that's known as the mycelium revolution.